Hey, I'm Joe with RevZilla, and today we're taking a look at Acerbis lighting, available at RevZilla.com. Acerbis USA has been around since 1985, and they've been meeting the heavy demands of motocross and off-road riders for decades. So Acerbis offers a huge range of products to help us off-roaders improve our rides. So what we have up here are a range of universal fit lighting options designed for dual sport, dirt bike, and maybe even some supermoto or custom stunt bike applications. So you could really put these lights on a wide variety of bikes. Prices are going to range between $45 and $135. And don't forget, RevZilla does offer that price match policy. So if you do find any of these for less elsewhere, we're happy to get you the best price possible. Now, when it comes to fitment, again, these are universal fit. The one thing to note is that your bike does have to have a 12-volt electrical system, and you will need about 35 to 55 spare watts on hand. So if your bike doesn't have the ability to crank out those extra watts, you may have a hard time running these lights. Now, if you're going to convert maybe a motocross bike into an enduro bike, or you need to pass tech inspection and have some lights on your bike, you may need to look into some aftermarket stators that will provide that capacity that's needed to run these lights. Now, getting them on the bike is a piece of cake. All of these lights up here, the headlights attached with just rubber bands that go around the forks, and then the taillights themselves just attached to a flat dirt bike style fender with 3 small screws. So let's get into the details about these lights. These are all made of thermoplastic, so they are flexible, and the headlights themselves have a nice shiny finish to them to keep the bike looking good. So over here on my left, we're going to talk about the LED Vision HP. This is a pretty unique headlight from Acerbis. It's available in black or white, and the main bulb is a 35-watt H4 halogen bulb that is included. Really easy light to replace if it does blow out, easy to find anywhere. What's really unique about this is that you see these holes on the sides have LED lights in them. They're white LEDs for added visibility, for people to see the bike. It's not really going to project a bunch of extra headlight down on the ground. You know, that's what the halogen bulb is for. But it adds some extra visibility to the front of the motorcycle, which is helpful on these narrow dirt bikes. Now, what's cool about this is that they're wired up all separately, so you could use the LEDs as either running lights or even wire them into your turn signals. But overall, the consumption of this headlight is around 50 watts total between the halogen and the LEDs together. Now, moving on down the line, we have the Cyclops. Now, I see this headlight really looking cool on maybe a stunt bike or a supermoto, something that you're really going to build with some wild looks, because obviously the asymmetrical headlight bulbs could be polarizing one way or the other. What's cool about this is that the number plate itself is removable if you want to get rid of that. Also, if you're going to run this headlight off-road, it does include a polycarbonate lens protector here. So this would just replace these 2 sections here, and that'll protect the headlights themselves from rust and damage from rocks off-road, which is pretty neat. Now, these headlights are adjustable too. When they say Cyclops, this light is designed to run either one side or the other. These are 55-watt halogen bulbs. Now, you could wire them together if you wanted, but then it's really going to consume 110 watts together, which is a good amount of power. Both of these headlights are DOT certified, so if you do need to pass inspection, these will go right through, and they're aimable too. So depending on how your bike sits, you can aim the light appropriately to meet the road and at the right angle. Now, moving on to the last option we have up here, this is the Elba 2. Now, I see this headlight pretty frequently because I race vintage off-road bikes, and this is a really, really popular headlight for those 80s enduro bikes. You know, Huskies, KDXs, XR, stuff like that. These headlights really look cool on that era bike. This headlight actually debuted on Elba Island during the Italian 6 Days Enduro in 1981. So this headlight does have a bit of history. The one thing to consider is that the headlight bulb is not included. This headlight takes a BA20D headlight bulb. It's a 35-watt 3-position bulb. Pretty easy to find online. Unfortunately, I was unable to find one at my local auto parts store, so you probably will need to source it elsewhere online. But it does give you a good opportunity to buy an LED version. A lot of headlights now, a lot of bulbs in general are available in either a halogen or incandescent or LED version. So you can get an LED version, which will allow the headlight to take a little bit more of a beating if you're going to run that thing off-road. Now, getting into the taillights, we have 2 different options up here. Technically, they're exactly the same. They just look a little bit different. So these are LED taillights that consume less than 1 watt. So really not much power to run these two lights up here. What I like about these is that they operate as a taillight or a brake light. So if you have a brake light switch, or you're going to put a brake light switch on your bike to have it pass tech inspection, or you're trying to get a license plate on a dirt bike, you just need to add a brake light switch into the mix, and it has that dim taillight running mode and then a brighter brake light mode. But over here we have the X LED. What really sets this apart is that it has this kind of pointed lens to it. I put this guy on our 450R, and I thought it really looked trick. It really matched the profile of the fender in the back. And then of course a little area here to mount the license plate. And over here we have the LED taillight, which just has a little bit more simpler look. This may look a little bit better on a vintage bike, probably go nice with the Elba 2 that we have up here. Now, one thing to consider with the installation of the headlights, again, they do attach to the motorcycle with big rubber bands, basically, that go around the fork tubes. Now, these two, obviously designed for later model bikes that have upside down forks. The Elba 2 is designed for a traditional right side up fork, I guess, that has the smaller tubes up at the top. Just be mindful when you're choosing these headlights for your bike that you choose the appropriate one. Now, the hardest part of the installation would be wiring. In the various kits here, there's some additional wiring, there's some terminals, there's some other electrical items included, including a wiring diagram. Getting them on the bike is a piece of cake. Overall, I only took about 10 or 15 minutes to get the headlight and taillight mounted to our CRF 450R. But if you're not familiar with wiring, you may want to get some help from a friend who does, or maybe take them to a local shop to have the wires run. But overall, I really like all these different options that Acerbis has for all the different bikes, dual sport, enduro, supermoto, stunt bikes. You have a ton of different options to put these headlights on. Now, if you'd like to see what other riders have to say about them, click the info button on your desktop or mobile device. And as always, if you have any questions about these or anything else you see on our website, give our Gear Geeks a shout at 877-792-9455 or shoot an email to cs@revzilla.com. Thanks for watching our video today about Acerbis lighting. I'm Joe, and I'll see you next time.